In 1959, the last lord of the manor, which was Gerald Cogenvan, he died, and in his will he wrote a trust. He wanted Trevelga to be preserved, its character to be preserved, and as far as possible not broken up. So he gifted the rents and profits from the estate to his old school, Marlborough College. The guy who wrote this worked with Gerald Cogenvan, and directly underneath the man who wrote his will, and you can see the first line, Mr. Cogenvan made special provisions in his will to ensure that the village and the manor as a whole would be kept in the same character as far as it was possible.
The main intention of his will was to preserve Trevelga. That is what he wrote it for.
How can a will be overturned after 50 years?
If you look at their accounts for 2009, there's a line in it where it says a possible entitlement to the capital value of the Trevelga estate has been identified but not yet quantified. And that was a year ago, in June 2009. They've had their sights on the full capital of the village for at least a year, and they mean to realise it.
We get a letter in the post saying that Kivels, that were our landlords, or who we paid our rent to, weren't in that position anymore, and Savills were taking over, and that the will was now void, which means Trevelga could go on the market all to be sold off. Which includes all these houses, all the farms. It's the farms. It's all up for sale, everything.
It's going to be very hard for people to find properties. People, and especially in this area where all the houses are at premium rates in the summer and very little council housing. And if the worst comes to the worst in this village, there will be homeless people. And it will be, they'll have to move on.
Gerald's will stated that he wanted it to be kept as a whole and unchanged. He didn't say, I want it to be holiday homes or kick out families and sell to the rich. Holiday lets would be horrific, it would be horrible. Because they'd be taking away homes that are needed for people that live here. Why kick a family out to send another family on holiday? Why? It doesn't make sense. Children's bedrooms are sacred, I think. You don't turf children out of their beds.
It is hard to know where to go from here. I'm a preschool supervisor and I teach other people's children, and I taught my children that to do the right thing, the good thing was the right thing. And sometimes, you get asked, but Mum, everybody else is doing, well, that doesn't matter. But if it goes so far up, even in the educational system, that the right thing doesn't matter, what do you do with that? I don't know what you do with that.
If there was a fault with the will, Marlborough College were the beneficiary, but how come they come to grab the land? I don't understand how they can be entitled to just own the village when they were only beneficiaries to a trust. And that's a big question which the villagers are all asking, but it needs a lawyer or a barrister to ask, and we can't afford to do that.
A lot of people have written to Prince Charles, and I can understand that maybe he's not in a position to buy it, but I don't see why he couldn't speak out for us. I don't see why he can speak out against an ugly building. Why can't he speak out against? Not only, it's not just our community, it's actually a very valuable historic site that's at risk. And his, I believe his part of a scheme to start up small rural communities. So why doesn't he try and help save a small rural community?
I don't think Trevelga is about money. It's never felt like that. It's about the beauty of it.
It's a very diverse community. Artists, musicians, farmers, childminders. But there's a lot of respect. It's unchanged through time. It just feels like a special and magical place.
Go into a town and you open a door and that's it. There's people, there's cars, there's noise, there's smog, And here you can just open a door and you're alone and it's beautiful and you can walk and you can hear the birds now, You can see the stars at night. There's no street lighting, there's no light pollution. You stand out there at night and you look up and it's clear and you can see everything, and it really shows you your place in the universe, It really gives you a perspective. And it's home. It's when things are too tough out there, you can come here. My sister's here, my brothers are here, my nephews.
We won't just shut up and be quiet. People are evicted and people's lives destroyed, and then we aim to carry on one way or another.
They have the power now, you see. They're not evicting anybody, but they have the power now to ensure that it doesn't happen. And they're choosing not to use that. You may not be evicting somebody yourself, and you think that gives you, the moral...
Keep your hands clean.
Yeah, exactly. But you do... if you have the power to secure people's lives and to safeguard a community, you should use that power.
At the moment, I feel quite positive that it's not going to happen at all. I don't know why I feel like that, but I do. I feel like old Gerald, I feel like his spirit is going to come down and it's going to go, no, you're not doing this, you're not going to disrespect my will, and you can all stay there and live happily ever after. It's a dying man's wish. Marlborough College and Savills would probably, well, I know they'd laugh to hear me say that because they're the supposedly powerful ones, but I feel powerful when I stand here, and you never know.